back. It is Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and do another topic video. Now, I decided to do this one today because I did find it kind of relevant with all of the recent sellouts that McFarlane has been having, not only on his website, but also other retailers have been selling out of McFarlane pre-orders. Now, big shout out to my boy Botten, who helped me out with the research for this one. And it basically stems from a comment that I saw a couple of weeks back when the pre-order for the Batpod and Catwoman went up. This is where I first kind of noticed this sort of comment going around. And basically, this generally stated that just because McFarlane figures sell out does not mean that they are good figures. It just means that collectors are stupid. Now, I found this comment pretty interesting because either you're kind of salty about the DC Multiverse line, or you have a severe case of Todd derangement syndrome. You need to go to the doctor to check that out. And from where I am sitting, it kind of looks like you don't collect DC Multiverse, or maybe the line just isn't for you. But then why does it really matter to you what happens when, pre-orders sell out or figures become rare? That basically sounds more like a you problem. Really, it actually reminds me of that goofball Spider Creep that he literally hates McFarlane, but he still finds the time to comment on videos about DC Multiverse. And if you really dislike something, why don't you just stay away from it and don't even bother thinking about it? Which is basically one of the rules that I live by. If I'm not interested in something, or I feel that something isn't, what I enjoy, I just keep a big wide berth between me and that subject or product if it is really something that I just do not enjoy. But as we all know, clicks and views are very tempting, especially to the uninitiated. And there actually could be different reasons for sellouts, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at this topic. Now, a lot of the times the sellouts come directly from McFarlane's toy store. And although a lot of people dislike his shipping prices, it is rather interesting that these figures that are exclusive to his store tend to sell out. And sadly, once they sell out, they are never to be restocked again and become very pricey on the secondary market. But I do bring this up because this is a type of sellout that actually does fall under McFarlane's control and power. I mean, the only issue I could think is that he believes it's sold out and most of the people already purchased this figure that wanted it. And as we know, when you make an order for figures, you must have a certain amount that you make. I'm not sure. I would have to look into it, but let's just say it's like 50,000 figures is the limit. And if you only project yourself to sell 20,000 of those, because the majority of collectors already picked it up, so you would be less likely to want to do another run of these figures. But then you do have another thing that we have seen, is that is even with the recent releases and pre-orders of the digital wave, the first appearance Nightfall wave, and even the most recent Justice League of America wave have all basically sold out. Aside from maybe some singular figures that are still there, the bundle, certain figures are gone. And you will have to wait it out until after they are released to see if they do make it to the toy aisles or if you can get it from some other website. And that segues me into another topic. And sometimes people are like, oh, but Bones, you're talking about figures that are sold on McFarlane's website. Well, hold on a second, because let's just say the JLL Plastic Man wave was also on Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, Amazon, And it met actually the same fate, where basically they sold out, although you do have some that are still for pre-order as singular figures. I even think GameStop has actually more of the figures still open, but this comes down to the fact that GameStop usually doesn't fulfill their pre-orders until months, almost a year after the initial release of the figure. So that is like everybody's last choice. I even find that sometimes Target has a hard time not selling out on pre orders, but eventually you are able to find these in stores. Now, of course, there is the outliers that sometimes you don't pre order it, you never see it in stores, and it never actually goes onto the website as just an item to buy. And sadly, that is when your chances of picking up this figure for retail price actually goes down. And in all honesty, for me, this is actually amazing because when McFarlane usually does the reveals or puts up the pre orders, there is always tons of hate and backlash, and sometimes understandable complaints. And that is because usually they're not really accurate to the comics. You might have a character that's just random. Of course, a lot of the times pretty precise details are missing from a figure, maybe something that's not actually painted in. And another issue that usually comes up is the dreaded limited amount of accessories. And despite all of this, McFarlane pre orders usually sell out or are very hard to come by. Now, another issue that I have heard brought up is scalpers. Now, a lot of people tend to blame scalpers for a lot of the quick sellouts. I find this kind of hard to believe, especially when it's not just from McFarlane's actual toy store. There's different online retailers that put it up. And I'm pretty sure they're not in cahoots with McFarlane to say that they sold out, so stop ordering. I'm pretty sure everybody is here to make money. So it's plainly obvious that once they think they've met the amount of product that they're going to have and the demand is going to surpass that, they pretty much say that they're sold out, usually leaving some sort of buffer just in case there's any problems or returns. That is why sometimes you will see a figure sell out and then it is in stock for, a limited amount of time and then it sells out again. That is because they finally made a count and have an actual number of the product they have. But by this time, people are wanting it and it sells out shortly after that. And even with all of these issues, I still find it very hard that scalpers actually make up even more of 0.25% of the consumers. Reason being because even when figures become rare and the orders come in, you do see a limited number on the aftermarket. It's not like you're seeing hundreds of figures all at once. You do see them, trickle in. And even those figures, once people come to the realization that they're going to have to pay double, even these secondary market figures begin to sell and their numbers become limited. Now, another big reason for sellouts is character selection. Now, I'm not oblivious to this fact. Need I remind everybody of the whole Wonder Woman ordeal? A figure that everybody wanted, everybody ordered, the product came in. Some people had a hard time eventually getting their figure. Now the dust has settled and cleared, and now she is going for crazy prices on the secondary market, double, sometimes even triple. And sadly, this is one big reality of action figure collecting. So, yes, it does come down to McFarlane's choice of characters because if there's a character, especially a certain version that a lot of collectors want, that is going to tip up the scale and make it more likely that the figure will tend to sell out and become hard to come by. Now, this can also become very speculative because we actually don't know which figures will become rare and which figures will be abundant. I personally know that I went into a Target and I saw 4 Flashpoint flashes. Now, since I already had bought my 3 that I usually buy, I really had no intention of picking up any more. But fast forward to now, and that figure is actually going almost for $100 on the secondary market, especially new in box. So that just goes to show us that it's hard to guess what figures will actually be more valuable in the market when at first we actually have no idea. But you can actually watch the prices, and sometimes you could tell when the price is not going down, you better jump on it before it gets any higher. This has happened to me before. Most notably with that little creepy Dick Grayson Robin, I ended up having to pay double because I was not able to get my order through on the McFarlane toy store. But in the end, I couldn't really complain. Those are the breaks. And I eventually got my Robin figures. And and that is why actually he is one of my more cherished figures now in my collection. No matter the creepy and disturbing vibes that he gives off. But one big reason why I don't usually speculate, and that is because I've never resold a figure. I do not pick up figures thinking that I'm going to resell them in the future because if anybody knows me, I despise shipping things. It's just one of my little icks, and I just do not like going out and shipping items. So that is the big question. What is it with the recent McFarlane releases that have been selling out and eventually becoming really hard to get on the aftermarket? Are we as consumers and collectors really that stupid? Are scalpers really beating us to the punch? Or is McFarlane just a master of mind games? Let me know what you guys think down below in the underground. But as always, keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Fat Man.